Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, the 2nd of October 2024. Welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social, the show that encourages you to get involved. Let us know what you think. You don't have to wait on the phone lines, call in, you don't have to send a message and hope that it might appear on the screen. No, it just pops up. All you need to do is you need to hit the subscribe button and wait for 30 seconds, and you will be able to join in the chat with John, Johan, Viv, Lofty the Softy, Siskin Edge, Sonic Shadow 191, with Simon M, with Tripod 9000, with Caroline, Angela, Rick, Peter, Jupp, Rob, Lee Corn, David, Emma Price, and others. Hello, good morning. Hope you're having a splendid morning. So, we're going to talk about the debate last night between the vice presidential hopefuls, JD Vance and Tim Walz. It was weird. It was very, very strange because it was so cordial. It was so normal. It was so like, this is what debates used to be like in America. It was reminiscent of once Rishi Sunak had his arse handed to him by Keir Starmer after the last election, and they had one PMQs before the recess, and it was just surprisingly civil. It was weird. It was like, oh, that he's actually asking him questions that are relevant to what's happening in our country and around the world, and oh, he's actually answering the questions being asked of him because they're normal civil questions being asked, and he can give straightforward answers to these normal civil questions. We're not used to that in America. The last 10 years have been dominated by the big orange blob, the orange turd, Trump, Cheeto Voldemort, the Mango Mussolini, who has made American politics absolutely freaking insane. He has made American politics nuts. And you can't deny this, right? And so I've had a look at the fallout from the debate and who won the debate. And it was just like, well, yeah, it's about equal. I mean, people thought slightly to sort of 37% to 33% that Walz did, JD Vance did a slightly better job than Walz for defending their president, the person that they're going to be running with. They are running with. So what? Doesn't matter. But I think that all in all, this might actually help Tim Walz's case. Now, people have said there's no clear winner. They've also said that it was the most normal debate for a very long time. But there were a load of open goals that Tim Walz didn't kick, or in their case, throw the ball into. There was the fact that he didn't even mention JD Vance's shady past, the fact that he raised loads of money to get people off fentanyl, millions of dollars he raised in charity, and then he spent it on himself. That wasn't mentioned. The fact that he said he would let Ukraine go to the dogs. He would give it to the Russians. That wasn't mentioned either. There was a lot of ammunition that Tim Walz had that he could have fired at his opponents, and he didn't. Now, I don't know if that was just he didn't get around to it, or he was told specifically not to. Because here's what I think the long-term takeaway might be from this debate, and let's not kid ourselves. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Like, the actual presidential debate didn't make that much of a difference. There's nothing that Trump can do that will put his voters off. If you are a Republican these days, if you're going to vote for Trump, he could eat your firstborn in front of you with a big plastic bib and a big knife and fork, and he'd be chomping away on your son or your daughter, who might still be alive while he's eating them. He wouldn't care. And the parents of this child would still vote for Trump. Like, that's how deluded the people who vote for this person are. They are in a cult. They are beyond help. It is really disturbing. If you ever met any of them in real life, it's like they're in a trance. It's not necessarily that there's nothing behind the eyes. That can't be true for 70 million Americans. It just isn't. It's not that they're stupid or uneducated or particularly ignorant necessarily, but they are hypnotized. They're mesmerized by a psychopath who has gaslit the shit out of these poor people for the last decade. Now, the thing is, with this, the way that the MAGA voters are, you're not going to change their mind. So forget them. You don't need them on board, all right? You don't need them to vote for Harris in order for Harris to win. It'd be nice, but you don't need that. And also, people who are going to vote Democrat, even though they're not particularly keen on Harris, they're going to vote Democrat because they are shit scared of what Trump and his cronies are going to do with their Project 2025, making abortion illegal across the states. Even though Trump last night on Truth Social, in all caps, wrote that he's definitely not going to do that. And if a bill comes up, he will veto it. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, Donny, whatever you say, Donny, we believe you. It's not like you've ever lied before. That's something. J.D. Vance lied about 7 or 8 times last night. Big whopping porkies. They didn't get picked up on because they weren't doing live fact-checking, which I thought was a bit crap. Anyway, so what I think the people that you want to be going for are the people in the middle, right? The squeezed middle. The people who are, not in the Trump camp, but don't really trust Harris necessarily on the economy, and they're worried about people coming over the border and all that shit, right? I think that at least a few of those people, I'm not deluded, I don't think it's loads of them, I don't think this is it for Trump, oh my God, it's all over. But I think a few of them will watch that debate and go, oh, do you remember when politics used to be like this? Do you remember when politicians would say that they agreed with each other on certain issues and there was bipartisanship? Do you remember when after the debate, the two candidates would not only shake hands but have a bit of a natter off the mics? Do you remember that? Do you remember those days? Do you remember those days? Because do you want to go back to them? Do you want to go back to the pre-Trump world where politics wasn't WWE wrestling, where everything wasn't a bloody stress, it wasn't a fight, it wasn't a screaming loudmouth orange psychopath whining about whatever? Oh, I won the election. Oh, they're sending people out to get me. Oh, God, I'm such a victim. Trump and his victim complex. Trump is a vile man. And you could see in the debate last night, if you take a step back and just don't look at what was said necessarily, but just look at the tone of the debate, you can see once the poison of Trump is taken out of the equation, and let's have no illusion to it, the Republicans aren't going to become nice people overnight. They're still going to be evil little shits. But at least you will have that level of civility, that level of normalcy, which you do not get with Donald Trump because he has poisoned the well in politics. He destroys everything he touches. He has this reverse Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to shit. Everything he gets involved with gets infected with his weird, bizarre, little-handed, orange, circus, screaming, monkey sideshow even, clown car on fire going off a cliff. Because that's what he does. He is an agent of chaos. And he is it was black and white last night. I like the damage that Donald Trump has done to political discourse in America. And I'm hoping, against hope, that a few of the people in the middle who are not yet decided, who could be brought over to vote for Harris Walz, will be persuaded by that very fact. Would you like America to be what it was? In other words, would they like to make America normal again? I would. And I'm not even American. Anyway, hello to everyone in the chat. David's calling me a brave ginger. I'm not particularly brave. I'm stupid. That's the difference. I'm too stupid to know when things are dangerous. Dark 4x4. It's me, Dark. Casual. Hello. Act naturally. Hey. We've got Johan. Johan, how you doing? Media in Belgium reported that the couch had the better start, but the coach finished up better. I think, to be honest with you, I cards on the table. I think it was about 50-50. I think they both had a few boobies in there, and they both had a few good lines that the other one couldn't really refute. I do think that J.D. Vance lied a lot more than Walz did. And he wouldn't, and this was very pertinent, he wouldn't admit that Trump lost the 2020 election. And the thing is, you could see it in his mascaraed eyes that he does think that Trump lost the 2020 election. You can see that he believes that, but he can't say it because otherwise his big Don, will come and say, "Ooh, what are you doing there, JD? Would you like me to take the couch away? Would you? I will take the couch away. And then you'll be in trouble, won't you? Yeah. Why are you crying, JD? Hey, why are you crying?" JD Vance is not even his real name. Like, the D in his name did stand for Donald, but then they changed it to David when he was a kid, and he's had 3 different surnames. He changed his name by default about 10 years ago to JD Vance, which wasn't his name. And obviously, he had quite a traumatic childhood. His mum was addicted to painkillers, I think, and he was raised by his grandparents. I mean, he could pretend to be working class. He's definitely not. He went to Yale. I mean, this guy, he came from a family that may have been dysfunctional, but at least had a bit of wodge. And the way he's gone about, especially with trans people, not respecting their wishes to not identify with the name that they were born with. He won't respect that, but he expects other people to respect it of him. I mean, let me straight here. JD Vance is a monster. He is not a very nice person. He is a vulture capitalist. He's a vulture Silicon Valley capitalist. He is revolting, and he hangs out with Peter Thiel, who is ultra revolting. He is the Elon Musk that isn't on Twitter, basically. He's just as evil as Elon Musk, but Elon Musk likes to make a big song and dance about how evil he is, whereas Peter Thiel kind of just hangs around in the background, just being evil, being an evil vampire. Talking of vampires, you've got the Heritage Foundation in America, which is backing the Project 2025. They also backed JD Vance to the hilt, and they want their boy in power so that they can pass their horrific executive functions like getting rid of the Department of Education. Something else that Tim Walz didn't bring up last night, which is weird considering he's a teacher. They want to get rid of the Department of Education in America and let individual states decide what books to ban. He did get the point in about banning books, but I did think it was a bit rich when JD Vance was like, they want to censor people on Facebook. And Walz is like, yeah, you invaded the Capitol building on January the 6th, and that resulted in over 140 police officers being injured and 9 people dying. 9 people dying as a direct result of what Trump did that day, sending thousands of his braying mob into their seat of parliament. They stormed Parliament. We have bonfire night, which is to celebrate the fact that there was a failed plot to blow up Parliament. And we celebrate it each year. That's how big that is for us in the UK. In America, half the country, Parliament was stormed. They managed to beat them back. I mean, they were trying to kill the vice president who was Donald Trump's running mate and would have been in this election had Donald Trump not sent a mob in to kill him. They're going to hang Mike Pence. They were going to kill Nancy Pelosi. But it was repelled, thank heavens. But do they have a national day on January the 6th? To say, oh my God, what a relief. Do they burn effigies of Donnie Trump on a bonfire like we do with Guy Fawkes for being, the ringleader of the people who are, doing all this? Actually, Guy Fawkes wasn't the ringleader, was he? He was just he was the trigger man who fell asleep. He fell asleep with all his gunpowder under Parliament. What a dickhead. The point being that the people responsible were put to death, and we celebrate it every year. In America, the people responsible, the person responsible, Trump, half the country's got to vote for him to be president again after that last performance. Oh my God. Anyway, Gary says, sorry, missed the 2 a.m. stream. You didn't miss much, mate. Don't worry about it. It wasn't that exciting a debate. And it did go on for a long time. The TDS runs deep today. I don't know what TDS is. I lost my Winky due to an unfortunate smelting accident. My Winky is a key. Donald Trump. Yeah. Graham, according to the book Vance wrote a few years ago, his family was dirt poor and he got a scholarship. Yes, according to his book. But apparently his family had married an early generation into hillbilly royalty. If you can believe that. All of this is the case, but do you think just getting rid of Trump will make American politics normal again? Yes, Paul. I know that might sound horrifically naive, but the way that Boris Johnson conducted himself in politics in the UK was absolutely bonkers. And his replacement, Liz Truss, I don't know if you've seen the video of her being asked questions as she walks through the Tory Party conference this week, and she's like this. She's just got this fixed rictus grin on her face. That whole debacle and the weirdness of it all, it petered out after Rishi Sunak was elected. Okay, there were still knobheads in the Conservative Party, but they did get substantially less weird. Now, since they've all been kicked out, including Penny Mordaunt saying stand up and fight, and Jacob Rees-Mogg just being odd, things have got a lot more normalised in politics in the UK. Things have calmed down a lot. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to make the Republican Party like nice people or anything. I still think they're going to be evil little shits. But I think that a lot of the toxicity that is driving American politics right now will be taken out. And we'll see a lot more civility, like you did when John McCain was running against Obama, like you did when John Kerry was running, when even Al Gore against George W. Bush. There was civility there. When Clinton, the first one, was running against George Bush, the first one. This is the first election. I know I've probably pointed this out before, but it is worth remarking because this is insane. This is the first election in America since 1980. So this is the first election in 44 years when there hasn't been a Bush, a Clinton, or a Biden on the ticket. 44 years. That is just bonkers. Right. Michael says, I don't know where you get the energy. I watched you on the early hours of this morning covering the VP debate. I'm surprised you're not falling asleep. Well, I don't know. I've got me coffee. Yay. I normally drink tea in the morning, but I make an exception if I've been up late. I like the observation that Vance is the first VP candidate in history who doesn't know who won the previous election. That's a very good point, Yoni. We've got Genie Bottle saying, remember January 6th, the day the Capitol went into chaos and dismay as MAGA tried to take democracy away. That's very good. I think we need to work on that rhyme a little bit, though. Remember the 6th of January. The 6th of January. January is not a good word, is it, to rhyme things with? It just sounds like falling down the stairs. It's like kilometre. Nick says, John Suchet, the former ITN newsreader, London to Barcelona, 1 hour, 50 minutes, queue for passport control, 2 hours, 10 minutes, Brexit madness. Welcome to the Brexit, sir. I hope you've all seen my talk. It's on Instagram and Twitter. I didn't put it up, but the speech I gave at the weekend about the rights that have been taken away from us. If you are a regular on this show, you probably hear me go on about it before, but it was me going on about it on the stage, off the cuff. I really need to do some more stand-up. I'm good at that. I'm good at just standing up and just shooting from the hip. Don't need no teleprompter. Yo, no teleprompter. Anyway, but generally speaking, if I don't have a teleprompter, I do tend to go off and waffle quite a lot. But anyway, One Angry Pagan saying I, as in Thomas Winter, one of the gunpowder plot conspirators. That's the Thomas de Winter. From Dog Tanyan and the Three Muskehounds. Right, I'm going to go and jump over to the newspapers now. We're going to see, what's going on in the Middle East. Now, we are going to be discussing this evening. Oh, there's a little bit of the edge of my green screen. Just coming up on the screen there. Look at that. Get rid of that. Got away, little edge of green screen. It's all kicking off in the Middle East. We're going to be talking about this in Geoscope this evening, probably at 7:30 tonight. We haven't decided on a time yet, but me and Ollie will be going through what is happening. And it's terrifying. It's absolutely, it is bull-shrivelingly terrifying. Middle East erupts. Nearly 200 Iranian missiles intercepted over Israel. IDF begins Lebanon ground assault. Gunman kills 6 in Tel Aviv. That story about the gunman killing 6 people in Tel Aviv goes back to the whole thing of like what I often talk about the whole point of Israel was for Jews to feel safe somewhere in the world, and they demonstrably don't feel safe in their own country here. And a lot of that is to do with the policies over the years. Also, the situation in the Middle East as well. This is a proxy war, what is happening now between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And weirdly, Israel is in on the side of Saudi Arabia, or vice versa. I don't know. But I guess from a Saudi Arabian point of view, if Israelis want to put their lives on the line, invading southern Lebanon and attacking Iran and attacking the Houthis in Yemen, then you waste your resources on killing these people. We won't have to. We'll keep our resources for when we want to kill people, or I don't know, roll tanks into Bahrain because they're having a protest on a roundabout. And Saudi Arabia owns the whole the Arabian Empire, the whole Arabian Peninsula. Maybe it is an Arabian Empire. Just don't ask for democracy or women's rights. US threatens severe response as Iran attacked Israel. Like I say, it's all kicking off in the Middle East. This worries me for the American election because, Trump will pretend that he'll have all the answers. This lie that's trotted out all the time about there being no... He's the only president who never started a war. And I'm sitting there going, can't remember too many wars that were started by Barack Obama. Don't remember any wars that were started by Biden. Don't remember any wars that were started, in fact, by Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton and NATO got involved quite rightly in the South Balkans, in Bosnia and Kosovo, where there was ethnic cleansing going on. They may have got involved in certain civil wars in Africa, but they didn't actually go and invade those countries, I don't think, in the same way that the Bushes invaded Iraq and then Bush Jr. invaded Afghanistan as well. Afghanistan. It was Iraq, Afghanistan, Iraq. I don't remember them doing that. I remember Reagan invading Grenada. Panama under George W. Bush was invaded, wasn't it? There's a few invasions that America carried out under Republican presidents, but the last few Democrat ones, I don't think they started anything. I mean, there was an escalation. There was the surge, wasn't there, in Afghanistan, where they tried to pour in US troops and actually sort out the Taliban over there, but that was never going to happen because trying to get rid of the Taliban is like trying to get rid of Hamas. You can't do it with weapons. You can't do it with weapons. It doesn't work. You can't do it because every time you kill someone from Hamas or Hezbollah or the Houthis in Yemen, you just create more terrorists because they have friends and relatives and children who grow up with a vendetta against whatever state it was that killed their pappy. Podinator, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, the first of the morning. Thank you, sir. I'm going to just go, wow, super chat. Can I remember 8 p.m. start tonight, Graham, just so you don't overlap with Uncle Phil? Okay, yes, Phil does his live show. Okay, so 8 p.m. start. That'd be good. But the only reason why we moved it to 7:30, it used to be 8 o'clock for Geoscope on Tuesdays, but we didn't want to overlap with our friend Maximilian. So, 8 o'clock. Good bit of advice there, Puninator. Thank you very much. It's also depressing, says Jim Bob Robob. Yes, it is, but I'm trying to just think of some silver lining to all this. Can't off the top of my head. It's quite depressing. Okay, here it is. Right, there's 193 members of the United Nations at the moment, and the vast majority of them are not actively at war with each other. That's all I can say about that. The Iron Dome holds firm against Iran's 200 missile blitz. Now Israel vows vengeance. That's from the Daily Mail. And then we've got the Mirror saying fears of all-out war. Iran retaliates for Israel's incursion into Lebanon with missile onslaught. And this is interesting, isn't it? It's not Lebanon who are attacking Israel. It is Iran. Like, what? You could ask, what's this got to do with Iran? Because this is a bit like someone invading Cornwall, the French invading Cornwall, and then the Pope in Italy sending Italian troops to Italian missiles, firing them at France, saying, get out of the UK, you bastard. It doesn't quite work because England's supposed to be C of E, isn't it? But say a Catholic country. Okay, yeah. So say England, say the UK invaded Normandy because they wanted France, not because they were trying to liberate France, because they were trying to invade. And then suddenly Italy started firing missiles because France is full of Catholics. And it's like, no, we want to protect the Catholic population in France. And you're like, well, Italy, what's this got to do with you? But yeah, that looks like the situation in Lebanon at the moment. And Iran coming in on the side of Lebanon. But then again, I mean, that's happened historically in the past. Look at the origins of World War One and the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliance. Yeah, didn't end so well then either. Anyway, revenge from above. Vengeance, Jesus Christ. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Queen's funeral, Horsey gets an OBE. That's the front cover of the Daily Star because there's nothing more important happening in the world. Israel vows to retaliate after Iran launches missile attack. They all love this picture, don't they? This picture here. They absolutely love that picture because you can actually see stuff happening. Usually when things are happening at night and you get like the traces that are firing, it doesn't look that spectacular. Whereas that looks like a particularly impressive display of shooting stars. It's not. It's missiles being blown up. Iran attacks Israel. That's the front cover of the Daily Telegraph, which is like accurate for a change. It's really weird. Again, when you're like, normality is weird. Normality being weird here with Iran being... No, sorry, not with Iran, with the Telegraph actually pointing out the fact that Iran has attacked Israel, which is true. I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's something true that's been put on the front cover of the Daily Telegraph, which normally is just a mouthpiece for right-wing lies these days. Iran missile attack on Israel sparks fears of new war. It's a good front cover of the Eye. Israel invades, Iran retaliates, the world looks on in horror, which is a good way of putting it. And there's a very spectacular picture there of, I guess it's the light going up to meet the rocket or something. Is that like the defense system is firing things at the rocket? I don't know. It looks like a blast of a superhero blasting something from their energy weapon onto the houses, but I think it's going the other way. I think it's coming up from the houses. Either way, it's kind of like a weird, mesmerizing image that is also terrifying at the same time. And then you've got this on the front cover of the Financial Times here. That looks like the Aurora Borealis or something. Iran fires missile barrage against Israel on the front cover, and Iran's new blitz against Israel. So every single news paper, with the notable exception of the Daily Star there, covering what happened last night with the missiles being fired into Israel by Iran. Not a great extra step in this escalating conflict. Israel has now got a war going on. Battles going on 3 fronts, and now it's going to be 4 fronts. So it was Gaza, Palestine, and they added Hezbollah in southern Lebanon to the list. Then they added the other day the Yemeni Houthis, and now they have added Iran. So they're on a war with 4 fronts. Are they scared? I don't think so, because Saudi Arabia, and I'll say this again, is weirdly on the side of Israel in all this. Even though I think it's still the case that you can't go to Saudi Arabia if you are an Israeli citizen. They still haven't normalized relations, which they talked about for a long time, but then things keep kicking off in Gaza. I want to see peace win. I don't want to see the Israelis win. I don't want to see Hamas win. I don't want to see the Saudis win. I don't want to see the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Iranians. I don't want to see any of them win. I want there to be peace. I want no one to win this. And that's not a platform that anyone seems to be running on at the moment. It's all about, swaddling yourself in the flag of the country or the group that you want to win. And I look at that and think that that's not the way to approach this. We should be asking for peace to win. We should be asking these or getting these knobheads to sit down around the table and thrash it out in a way that means that, like, no one gets exactly what they want, but at least we get peace. At least we get things to settle down. But that's not going to happen for a long time, the way that things are going on at the moment. Israel seems to be absolutely 100% gung-ho for destroying Gaza. It's not even destroying Hamas, it's destroying Gaza in the same way that the Sri Lankan government, they realised that the only way they could get rid of the Tamil Tigers was to completely destroy the villages in which the Tamil Tigers lived in northern Sri Lanka over a decade ago. You are seeing the same thing play out in Gaza, but it's not going to work because the Tamil Tigers didn't have any international support. It's not like there were Tamil Tigers living in Tamil Nadu who were also blowing things up in India. That didn't really happen. It might have been some one-off cases, but they didn't have the international support. They didn't have a group of people from Nepal who were supplying them with weapons, or from Burma, or from Pakistan, or from anywhere else. That wasn't the case. Even if you destroyed every single person, if you murdered destroyed is a bad way of putting it, because they will be murdered. Even if you murdered every single person, man, woman, and child who lives in Gaza, there would still be Hamas. Hamas would still exist because you've still got the other part of Palestine, the West Bank. You've also got people who support Hamas in southern Lebanon and all over Lebanon. In fact, it's not just they're concentrated down in southern Lebanon. Don't forget Hezbollah, the prescribed terrorist group, are actually part of the government. Well, not part of the government. They're part of the political system. You can vote for them in Lebanon. They've also got support from Iran. They've also got support from Yemen and from other countries. They have sympathy because people don't like it when a group of religious nutters take out a group of other religious nutters who are on their side. You know, a group of religious nutters not on their side, attacking a group of religious nutters who are on their side. So yeah, you can't get rid of Hamas. This is not the way to do it. This is not the smart play. Again, with right-wingers, they always pick the most economically illiterate way, the most brutal way. They always pick a way that doesn't make any moral sense, and they always pick the way that doesn't make any common sense at all, because we have tried this time and time again in history, and it has never worked. The only time I could admit that it would have come close was when the Sri Lankan government wiped out the Tamil Tigers, but they didn't have international support. Gaza has international support. A lot of it around the world, not just in the Middle East, but in the UK, in the US, Australia. They have a lot of support, and that's not going to go away. They also have a massive diaspora of people from Palestine who live around the world and will want to see their homeland restated for the rest of their lives, and they will pass that want on to their children. So yeah, it's not a case of everyone who comes from Palestine is a bad person, or every one of them is a terrorist. I don't believe that for a second, but all that the Israelis are doing are creating the potential for more terrorists elsewhere who have family in Palestine. Don't forget Layla Moran of the Liberal Democrat Party in the UK. She has family in Palestine. Like the people who have Palestinian roots are embedded all around the world. And like Layla Moran is not a terrorist. She never would be. But you've got the fact that she would want her people to, people in their family to have lived a nice, safe, happy life. And that hasn't happened. Who's taken that away from them? The Israelis. And you could argue as well that Hamas is never going to win, because if they just keep attacking Israelis and murdering people brutally at a concert and filming it and putting it online, all of those things, like, that's not the way to win. But I don't think that Hamas want to win. That's the difference. And, well, actually, is it the difference? Does Israel want to win? Do they want to win? I don't know. Either way, it's not going to work, and this is going to rumble on for a long time, but all conflicts end. People just run out of desire for the fight. All conflicts come to a point where it's too expensive. Usually it's an economic thing. It's like they just don't have the money to make the weapons. They don't have the facilities to fight. That's it. Hopefully this will end in a conversation. I don't think it's going to be an easy conversation. I'm not saying that it's going to be overnight. We sat down and had a cup of tea, and now we're all on the same side. Yeah, we all agreed that the two-state solution. Let's do that now. That's not going to happen. But I want them to start that road, and they will have to at some point. Doctor Who made a really good point about this in one of the episodes. He said at some point, when Peter Capaldi was Doctor Who, he said at some point you will sit down and you will have to have a conversation about to get peace. and you can either kill loads of people before you get there, or you could just go there now. Just now. We could say, like, let's sit down and discuss this and thrash out a compromise that, again, doesn't make anyone feel like they've won, but will make people feel like, that they can be safe in their own homes, which is ultimately what the people of Gaza want. It's what the people of Israel want. It's what the people of Iran want. It's what the people all over the world want. They want to feel safe in their own homes. They want their children to be safe. Anyway, right, that was a bit of a rant, wasn't it? Hamas have not been able to be voted out since the election in 2006. Yes, you're absolutely right, Donkey. They were voted in, which is a bit unfortunate because, once they were in, because they are autocrats, I mean, they're terrorists. We've got no love for Hamas whatsoever. Their tactics and their brutality and the brutalizing of the Palestinian people, never mind the Israeli people, is just disgusting. And they've never allowed any more elections since they got in. Nearly 18 years ago, which is just, Israel and Iran have been playing the proxy war game for years. Now they've dropped the pretense. It's very true to vengeance. Shiny warm. The UK isn't just making excuses for Israel. We are sending arms and dispatching fighters to Israel and declaring Israel has the right to defend itself as it invades its neighbours. Shiny warm. Yes, you are right to an extent, but Israel does have a right to defend itself, like any country in the world has a right to defend itself. And so imagine, like, all the countries in the world say, right, that's it, we're not going to send any more weapons to Israel because you might use them for genocide in Gaza. And on the surface, great argument. Stop doing that. We're going to stop sending you weapons. But at the same time, that very well could leave Israel undefended when it is surrounded by countries that literally don't want Israel to exist. And then what happens? You have a further bloodbath. You have fighting on the streets. You have people murdering each other in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, in other population centers, all over Israel. It would be a bloodbath if Israel couldn't defend itself. Just have a think about that for a moment, because Hamas have sworn to destroy Israel. Hezbollah have sworn to destroy Israel. Iran has sworn to destroy Israel. There's not much in the case of, if Israel say we want to destroy Gaza and made that, they probably do, but they made that explicit, the world will recoil in horror and say, no, you can't just go around destroying someone else's country. That's not right. And I don't think they've ever declared that they want to destroy Iran. I mean, they might want to get rid of the leadership of Iran. I want to get rid of the leadership of Israel. But I think Israel has a right to exist. And we can talk about the history and colonization and Western imperialism and all that. But at the end of the day, we live in a world that was designed, that was drawn up with lines, lots of straight lines, drawn up by white men, white European men, sat down in the mid-1880s with a map of Africa, and they just they split it into 54 parts thereabouts and said, Spain can have this, the UK can have this, Germany can have this, France can have this, the Netherlands can have this, Belgium can have the Congo and can just run it as a fiefdom for King Leopold II, and we can wipe out a third of the population and face no consequences whatsoever. Just the scale of the situation that we have now, because of what they did in the past, what we did, Europeans, white Europeans did, and don't forget, Britain's sticky fingers are all over the Middle East, all over it. That whole area was protectorates of Britain. There was a Sykes-Picot line. That was, the Balfour Declaration. There's so much history there. But this is the situation we are in now. There's no point in relitigating what happened 50, 100 years ago. What matters is what's happening now. We have to look at the situation and go, right, these people live here. Those people live there. Can they live together? Can they live in one country? Looks like not. Okay, we're going to have two countries. The least we can do is recognize Palestine, which we still haven't done in this country. That would really help. Dozens of countries around the world have recognized Palestine as an independent state. But also, the Middle Eastern states, like Saudi Arabia, can recognize Israel. So if we had a deal for that, it would be a step in the right direction. However, like I say, there's no simple answers to this, but blowing each other up and creating more martyrs, creating more hatred, creating more vendettas, people that need to be avenged, is not going to give us peace anytime soon. What will give us peace is by getting these dickheads to sit down and thrash out a compromise that they can all live with, instead of the reality of today, which is what they're all dying with. Anyway, no country should belong to another country, says Sarah Davis. Yep, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Thanks, UK, says Donkey. Anyway, I've gone on a bit because we got sucked into the Middle Eastern situation. I was here to talk to you about the vice presidents, and maybe I should have left this whole spiel until this evening at 8 o'clock when we're having Geoscope, and we're going to be talking about this in detail, the situation in Israel, Palestine, southern Lebanon, Yemen, and Iran. And just a footnote, I've been to these places. I've been to all of them. And everyone I met was lovely. Didn't meet people who were just didn't think I was allowed to exist. Didn't think, that I should be allowed to live. And that was white, male, Western privilege right there. But it's not the people doing this, it's the leaders. This whole thing comes down to the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is going to go to jail as soon as he's not Prime Minister anymore of Israel. Which is just mind-blowing. The amount of carnage, the amount of suffering, the amount of death that has come as a result of one man's ego. I can't possibly go to jail. I'm rich. Ha ha. Is it's sad, but I'm hoping one day he will face justice for his many, many crimes, like Slobodan Milosevic almost did. He was on trial. He died during the trial, but he would have gone down for the rest of his life had he not carked it. Genie Bottle, we were there to fight Napoleon and later the Ottoman Empire. We tried with other European countries, tried a few times to control areas. It's been a hotbed of war since history began. Yeah. But so's Europe. Europe has been a hotbed of war for centuries. And what stopped that? The EU. Anyway, let's end with some positive news. Last weekend, British strongwoman Lucy Underdown broke the women's standard deadlift world record. Her own. Woo! That's great news. Lucy Underdown, well done you. And also, I just want to say again, and I think I said this last night, the fact that the last of the coal-fired power stations closed down earlier this week, and there's now no coal in our energy mix at all in this country. We are the first developed nation, the first advanced nation to get rid of coal entirely from our energy mix. Is the first flicker of pride that I've had about this country since the 2012 Olympics. That's a long time to go without anything nice to say about what's happening in your nation. So 12 years. Finally, we've had something that we can say, yeah, we're leading the world on something. Not world beating. I don't want to beat the world with a stick. That's weird. That's a weird bully mentality. I'd like to lead the world and encourage the world to go down the path that leads us to a brighter future. Not one where there's hurricanes and tornadoes and forest fires, floods and droughts every other week because of climate change. Indeed, usually comes down to leadership rather than the people. Case in point, we have Brexit. Small handful of politicians are responsible for that, not the UK or the British. You're very right, Nick. And when we talk about countries and we say Israel did this, Iran did this, Lebanon did it, it's not the people of those countries. It's the governments. And I know that I do this myself as a shorthand to just go, oh, America did this. America invaded Grenada. No, it wasn't. It was the American government at the time that was run by Ronald Reagan that sanctioned the invasion of Grenada. And don't forget, boys and girls, the American president has the right to invade any country that he sees fit. It's been a he up till now. Maybe a she, I hope. Fingers crossed. By January. Can invade any country without having to ask Congress for 6 weeks. Well, no, they then have to ask Congress, is it okay that I invaded this country? And if Congress says no, They've got 6 weeks to withdraw the troops. 6 weeks! Do you know how much damage you can do in 6 weeks with the military that America has? Yeah, terrifying. Right, normality could be restored to US politics. That's another bit of good news, says Steve. Johan says, re-coal-fired power. Belgium closed its last one ages ago. Ooh, but don't they have connectors with other countries around that also? But they are using coal, like Germany and stuff. I don't know. Absolutist nonsense. Says one argument. We will leave it at that. Thanks very much. I've got 16 minutes over. I'll leave you in the safe, capable hands of James O'Brien if you want to go and listen to him on LBC Radio, and then just start from the beginning and then just skip the ads. And then by the time it gets to the end of the show, you've not heard any ads and you're up to speed. And like I say, we'll be back at 8 o'clock tonight with Geoscope, where me and Ollie Bowler Hatman will be talking about the situation in the Middle East and around the world. We'll also be talking about what's happening in Argentina under Javier Milei, where 50% of people are now living in poverty as a result of his disaster capitalist ideals. And also we'll be touching on the American debate last night, even though I've sort of covered that quite well already, I feel. You might disagree, might want some more. Let me know in the chat tonight. Until then, I'll say thank you very much for the super chats. Thank you very much for everyone who's, let their presence be felt in the comments. Always nice to have people watching and commenting and getting interactive. Give us a like on the way out, as always. That drives interaction and stuff. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.